Let's do this thing, eh? Hi, I'm Taya. You might remember me from nothing, or something, or whatever. Are you feeling a little bit confused right now? Have you been called a bigot, problematic, a TERF, alt-right, a racist, a misogynist, a transphobe, for what used to be like a fairly benign position? Hashtag me too. And I want to talk to you about it. It's kind of shit. This is the first of a series of videos that talk about how somehow I've gone from an active, credible member of the left wing to being accused of being right wing without my politics changing. None of us have actually really changed. I haven't changed. The definitions have. The bar has moved. I've never been a socialist. Roughly what you'd call a social democrat. I believe in a mixed economy, civil liberties, freedom of speech and thought, equality of opportunity for those who, through misfortune or accident of birth, need a leg up. Controversial, right? I also believe in science and logic. Remember those? This view used to be okay and uncontroversial. The idea that capitalism with a safety net was the best way to keep as many people happy as possible was fairly a benign view, right? That was considered centre-left. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater here. Disclaimer. Marxist, feminist, and critical race analysis. They are frameworks in which we can critique systems. They don't all have the answers. Anyway, okay. They tell us how we can do better. But there are also really good things about capitalism, even as a left-wing person. It's called Keynesian economics, right? That's one version, but let's not overcomplicate it at this point. That was left-wing politics, right? Now, all I've done is continue this moderate, reasonable, science-based position. And guess what? Now I'm right-wing, according to a bunch of fucking idiots who are drunk on their own power. It's been very, very weird. It's also been very painful. If you're living a life right, it involves dying a few times. In my case, literally, but I did mean figuratively, and being reborn. That's how you build a strong sense of self, a strong sense of identity. But I'm still quite perplexed by this one. And a little bit lost. I know that there are a lot of people that are feeling the same way right now. I've done my research. I've wanted to be wrong. I'm not wrong. It's not you. A bunch of children who don't understand what they're talking about have hijacked the left, narrowing and redefining what left-wing means to the point where it is now meaningless. And they're wrong. So where am I right now? Honestly, I'm a bit lost. There's a bit of grief for who I used to be, or not who I used to be, but what I used to be part of. There's reflection, continually asking myself, am I a bad person? Am I who they say I am? I'm trying to figure out who I am post-ideology. I'm reflecting on my values, which I still don't think have changed. I'm actually someone who's audited this because nobody likes being called these types of things. I'm sad about the strain that this has put on relationships, lives, jobs, careers, brands. My politics has been like a loose thread on one policy issue. You pull it, and then you pull it, and then it all just slowly starts to unravel. When you see the inconsistency and the behaviour over one particular issue, you start to see that pattern everywhere. To me, I'm still on the left. I don't give a fuck. You define me how you want. Being plunged into the land of those we're repeatedly told are the bad guys. I don't see it. Known as the alt-right. When nothing's changed. You know that look. Where you know someone is unreachable. They've got that twinkle in their eye that says, you're the devil and I'm unreachable. And you know that that friendship isn't going to ever be the same because you've lost them to a cult. Thankfully, we see this for what it is. And we're all sitting here in the same state of disbelief, disappointment, and entertainment. I don't believe anybody is evil for the sake of it. I just think people do the best they can and try to find the answers, and sometimes the answers aren't that easy. Some of you know me as a designer or a digital consultant, depending on how you came to me. You know me as a designer, a digital consultant, a marketer, or whatever. But for those who only know that part of me, they don't know that my main squeeze and first love is politics and the social sciences. I studied politics and legal studies at university, and then in postgrad focused on public policy. While there's a lot of theory, it's very much focused on how you synthesize all these ideas and get shit done. I've always been kind of like okay, we've talked this through for hours. What's the next step? How do we solve this? How do we design solutions that make as many people as happy as possible? Stakeholder management on a wide scale. See, they're the same. One is just designing society or your vision for society. The other, an experience or interface. But the process is the same. There's still a process. I tend to get a bit bored with people talking in circles without moving forward. Even social media, I get fatigued by the same conversations over and over again. At some point, I'm usually the person who will sit down and go, okay, so what can we do? What can we do to fix this? It's one thing to just sit and talk and complain and gripe and discuss and discuss and discuss and discuss and complain and analyze, but eventually something needs to happen. And that's why I think that's why I've always I was drawn to policy and economics. There needs to be data. There's a little thing called research methods that pretty much every postgrad student has to take. Stats. You should do them because they're important. Data. Scientific method. See any kind of model that actually backs you up. And you need evidence. And evidence is not how you feel. How you feel among 1,000 other people who feel the same, that's data. Okay? Otherwise, it's just a fucking blog. Okay, moving on. Anyway, it's so much easier as a designer when you're billing by the hour, right? People don't fuck around. You go, this is my process, gather your requirements, but at some point, we got to get something done and something finished. It's a bit harder in political circles because the KPIs are a bit fuzzier, right? So I'm a feminist. I'm on the left. I've worked in design, politics, child protection, and even foster care for a time. I read, I campaign. I'm an active member of the ALP and a former member of the Greens. That's who I was. I fought for social justice. I was intersectional. I advocated for diversity wherever I could. I stood up for myself. I stood up for those who I felt needed standing up for when it mattered. I was one of the good guys. And then the rules changed. And I disagreed on something. And they turned on me. And now I'm one of the bad guys. I didn't change. They did. I really hope you can join me for part 2, where I talk a little more about my experiences in student politics, child protection, and also the fact that I'm in the business world as well, and as a blogger of 2 decades, and how I think we might have gotten here. Stay tuned. Thanks for listening. I love you. Bye. Like and subscribe and all that junk. The more you help me, the more motivated I get. So, thank you. Bye.